Mike here for the first episode of Higher Outputs Revealed. So we're going to be talking about how he overcame some adversity. He went through some medical struggles, and now he's killing it in real estate and he's killing it in the gym. So we're going to be talking about his story there, how he overcame that adversity, how he's producing higher outputs.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You went through some medical struggles, right?
Yep.
Super hard on you?
Yeah, I mean, how that kind of played out was I went out for a normal checkup at the hospital, nothing crazy. And we found out that my blood levels were a little bit high. So honestly, doing that for the first couple of weeks, just like we didn't think anything of it. And then 9 months later, I was in and out of the hospital, giving blood every couple of weeks, got some MRIs, EKGs, everything, just to figure out what was going on. You know, for us, like, this is therapy. And I was basically told, like, stop working out. So I stopped working out for about 3 months, no physical activity. And I mean, you know how it is, like, you're not doing something in such a routine that you have every single day.
Yeah.
It makes it tough. So it's a lot of mental stress on you too.
Like taking a break for like months of working out.
Dude, it was tough.
It was literally like, it's so essential for my mental health.
When a lot of people don't understand that when you're out of that routine, like, this is a daily thing for us. It's just kind of a habit. So like when you kind of break out of that, no matter what it is that you do every day, like you don't go to work every day, you don't go to the gym every day, like, kind of stuff, it really does play more of a mental aspect than a lot of people think.
What were your like goals and aspirations before that happened?
I mean, I was training like a bodybuilder. You know, I wanted to compete again.
And you competed when you were pretty young, right?
Yeah, I competed when I was 18 for the first time. 19 was the second time I competed. I enjoyed it, I did it, but, you know, I kind of did it too early. I messed myself up. So, you know, part of that had to do with all of the stuff that kind of led up into that. And, I mean, I was training like a bodybuilder. I was eating a crazy amounts of food, more than I probably should have. And it was just because I was young. I didn't really know any better. 150 pounds, I was eating 300 plus grams of protein. It didn't make sense. So, my levels skyrocketed. Normal, what it should have been, it was probably about 15 times more than what it was. So,
and when you say levels, that was like the creatine?
Creatine levels, my liver enzymes, my muscle enzymes, everything was high. Liver was twice what it should have been. Muscle enzymes were 13, 15 times normal.
What were you feeling during that? Like,
I felt nothing. That was the scary part.
You felt nothing?
Felt nothing. The only reason I went to the doctor was just for my normal physical, my normal checkup, and that's when they found it.
Well, like, after you realized all that was happening, how are you feeling, like, emotionally through all that?
It was tough. I mean, I'm a very anxious person. I go through depression already, so it just, you can imagine kind of how I felt. Like, being told just face-to-face from the doctor that I have to stop working out messed me up a little bit mentally. It was tough to kind of deal with, and I just took it day by day. I took it with a grain of salt. I knew it wasn't something that was going to be long-term. I just had to fix what it was short-term, and 9 months later, I got everything checked out. I did what I had to. I did what I was told, and it worked out. I mean, now to this day, I'm still dealing with it.
So it was like 9 months?
Yeah, about 9 months. First, earlier in the summer, probably like June or July. I don't remember the exact year, but I finally got cleared the following year in March. And then that's when everything else, like, I was good to go. Everything went back to normal. And that was kind of the tough part for me too, was when I did go back to normal, how was I gonna work out? Like, was I gonna do everything the same? Was I gonna go back to you know, how I was before? So mentally checked me out for a little bit after too, because I didn't know what my body was gonna respond with if I did work out back to normal. So I kept it slow. I didn't go too heavy right away, and then after a while, it was just like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna work out. Like, I'm not gonna be scared. And if my body is just a little bit different, I could take other measurements, take medicine, stop taking certain supplements, and that's exactly what I do today. Body's 100% back to normal. My body's in better shape than what it's ever been, just from a couple of supplements that I'm taking. And I'm working out probably 10 times harder than what I was before. It's just trial and error. I've been working out for 7 years, and you just kind of learn over time what your body's accustomed to, what's good for it, what's not. And you know, for me, that's just what I had to go through. Not the ideal way, but mindset. And I think that's the best way that I kind of grew out of being scared to work out again.
Makes sense.
I didn't really let it define me, even though it kind of did for the year, but...
All right, so going through all this stuff, right? Those levels, creatine levels were too high, right? It was kind of scary for you. What did you learn throughout, like, going through this adversity, throughout that process of going through?
Understanding my body. You know, not being stupid with the food I'm eating, how hard I'm training. And, you know, everyone wants to train heavy, just eat as much as they can to get big. But, you know, you're not really thinking internally what it's doing to your body. And for me, it hit me a little bit harder than what it might for someone else. So just kind of taking things slow and understanding you know, I might be okay on the exterior, I might be fine, but I don't
Yeah.
know how the interior part of my body looks. So
Right.
just trying to learn that, take it day by day, just kind of understand a little bit more about what's actually healthy for you versus what, you know, might seem, if that makes sense. Yeah, I just learned to keep things simple and just listen to myself, you know, not get so involved in all the outside stuff that comes with working out, like seeing other people doing something, but
Yeah.
what works for one person, I'm not
Exactly.
going to be the same as someone else, so that's just the one thing that I had to kind of learn.
Yeah.
Just kind of humbled me a little bit.
And like that relates to real estate, I feel too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I can sit here and say that, you know, dwell on the fact that I'm not doing a lot of business,
Yeah.
but there's a 24-year-old somewhere else doing millions of dollars per year. But, you know, everyone's different. Everyone's kind of thrown into a different situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of custom that to every other aspect of my life.
Nice.
So instead of just sitting there and dwelling on it and wondering, like, oh, why can't that be me? You know, God has a different plan for you. So
Exactly. We're all
take
different.
it. Yeah, take it. Everyone's different, and just do what's going to be best for you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, because the more you kind of focus on that, the more you're taking away from yourself.
Yeah.
Because then you're holding yourself back.
Comparison
You're
is
always-
a thief of joy, right?
Comparison and judging yourself
Tough.
is,
Yeah.
it'll get you.
It's tough. Yeah, it's cool. You see that carry over too, from like going through the university you went through, and seeing how that carries over to
Yeah.
preparing yourself in real estate
Yeah,
too.
and, you know, the older I get, the more I do realize that my body isn't going to be 100%, you know, every year when I get older. So, you know, just kind of taking what I learned and just kind of focusing to other areas, like you said. It's important, like the lessons that I learned, you know, mistakes. You know, it's really
Yeah.
comes down to.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I like how you said you didn't realize what was going on inside, but you're so focused on the outside.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I
that's
feel like that relates to so many other things too.
Yeah.
Like if we double down on work all the time,
Exactly.
or we put like all of our energy into one thing,
Yep.
like a relationship, a job.
Yep.
We don't really pay attention to what's going on the inside.
Yeah, and
just
I
focus
mean,
on the outside.
that has an effect of both working out and just whatever job you're in. Like,
Yeah.
you're always going to want to be, at least in the gym, picture perfect. You want to look your best because that's what you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
So it does have a lot of like body dysmorphia, a lot of internal stuff, people that are, you know, stuff that people are fighting. So with the job switch too, everyone wants to do millions of dollars of deals. Everyone wants to be
Yeah.
popular on social media when it comes to real estate and all of that. But if you're not happy, like, what's the point? You know, so that's what I really
Not
try
worth
focusing
it, yeah.
on. I'm trying not to compare myself to other people and just kind of go at my own pace.
Yeah. I feel like it was a perfect switch because bodybuilding, you're literally comparing your physique to
Yeah,
other people.
exactly.
In the gym, you're comparing yourself to other people.
Yep. And that's
now,
how. That's
now that
how,
you're in real estate, like a lot of those guys compare themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, it's tough because, yeah, like I said earlier, I can sit here and dwell on the fact that I'm not like other agents doing a ton of deals.
Yeah.
But I'm going at my own pace. There's a plan for me of what I have to do. And, you know, it's as much as what I'm going to get in return is the stuff that I'm putting in. You know,
Yeah.
as much hard as I work. Same
Inputs
with the
and
gym,
outputs,
you know,
right?
you
Yeah.
work hard, you're going to get the results.
Yep.
You're not going to do it half-assing anything.
Exactly.
So, you know, why set yourself short? Why focus on whatever else is doing when all it is just taking your mindset away from what you can achieve?
Right. You're going through this medical stuff, right? How are you coping with this? Like a lot of people go to certain things like make them feel better. I'm sure it was kind of scary. Going
Yeah,
through it, so.
I mean, up front, I didn't really know what was going to happen, so I kind of took it with a grain of salt. You know, that's one of the biggest mistakes that I made was, I mean, giving blood, I was not doing it fasted. I was working out 20 minutes before, and you know, me, I didn't really understand all of it, so I was just kind of doing what I thought was good, and I think that's the number one mistake I made is that's what really kind of altered all the levels. But the way I cope with it, I mean, it wasn't a positive. I mean, I was sitting there at home in my room for 3 months doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Eating whatever, playing video games, no physical activity,
So it's
no
like,
walking,
when
nothing.
you can't work out, like where are you going to get that feeling?
Exactly.
You know?
It's
'Cause,
kind of like the same dopamine of what you're going to get. So, like, yeah, some people do drugs, alcohol, but I mean, for me, everything was internal. So I didn't go to those things just because I was already kind of, you know, scared for myself of what that was going to look like. So, I mean, yeah, video games is just one of those things where it's just like you sit there, you can be on it for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And you're getting that same,
It's
you
so
know,
stimulating.
dopamine
Get the
rush.
dopamine
Oh,
hit,
yeah.
that drive. I feel like the same drive you have in video games, you can put
Yeah.
that into the gym. You know,
Yeah,
to
I mean,
accomplish things.
my normal routine was wake up, go to class. I was still in college. Go to the gym, and then
Concordia, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
CUC.
And but without that 2-3 hours out of my day, it was just kind of, what am I going to do to kind of fill that void?
Yeah.
I just got lazy. I mean, I started eating whatever I wanted to. Played video games nonstop, and that was kind of my life. You know, I slept in late, so it was kind of a delayed reaction. In the time, I didn't really think anything was wrong because it was like, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
But now looking back on it now, it was just like, I don't know how I let myself kind of get to that, but I really had no other choice.
Right. You were at this place where you're looking for that same feeling you had to working out and other things, right?
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that? Because now you're successful in real estate, right?
Yeah.
You're killing it in the gym, on top of your nutrition. So how did you get that drive back into like finding yourself again?
I mean, once everything just kind of played out after I was given the clearance to start working out again, that following year, I just took it lightly. You know, after the 9 months of everything is when I really started to like understand that maybe my body was just, that's how it was. That's what doctors told me. It was just maybe your body just produces more than other people. And, you know, I never really got a straight answer. It was just kind of like, give me the runaround. Yeah, it was tough because for 9 months, I wasn't really getting a straight up answer. Doctors didn't know what was going on. So, I mean, that was the tough part, of just kind of getting the runaround with it. And I mean, after I was given the clearance, I took it slow. And I think just getting back in that mindset, like it wasn't hard for me to shut off from the gym because I was forced to.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't hard for me to go back to it.
Right.
Just because muscle memory, same thing mentally. Like, yeah, muscle memory physically, but just that mental aspect of it too. Like, you do it for a week, for a few days, and you're right back to normal. Yeah. Mentally, it's just as strong as if it was physically. Last September is when I quit my full-time job.
So you quit your full-time job, went all in real estate.
Yep.
Nice.
I haven't looked back.
That was risky, huh?
I mean, you know, there's a risk in everything that you do because it's something, you know, you're leaving a stable income, paycheck every 2 weeks, throwing yourself into something that you don't really know.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, being as young as I am, you don't really get a lot of realtors the same age as me.
That's impressive.
And, you know, it's tough. People have been in the industry.
You don't get a lot of realtors that look like this too, you know?
That's true. I mean, I'm not the norm, you know, suit and tie every day. And it's funny because I always tell people that, like, hey, you know, you don't have to wear a suit and tie to sell a house.
No.
I can show up in sweatpants if I wanted to. You know, that's not going to change who I am as a person and how I conduct business. I'm not the typical, like, I got a mullet, I wear...
I think that goes to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of self. You know, I'm not, again, like we were talking about earlier, I'm not trying to paint myself as someone that I'm not, because then I'm not doing myself justice.
Exactly.
You know?
I think that's where a lot of people fall short. They try to be somebody else or try to act a certain part. But I think the magic is in the authenticity of who people are. Yeah. You know?
I'm not afraid, you know, to be who I am, to say what I want. And if I got tattoos, I'm not covering them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, if people want to focus on the exterior, like, appearance of yourself, yes, it does make a difference. But those are the people that you don't necessarily want to revolve yourself around.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't take the time out of their day to actually get to know you, see who you are as a person.
Exactly. In both of our fields, it's really important.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's with every aspect.
But it does come
family.
from the heart too. It's not just acting. It's like we care about what we do. We want to meet people, help people.
Authenticity is going to shine way more than just trying to paint yourself as someone that you're not.
Right.
You know, it's a lot easier for people to see through that, and it is to really recognize that authenticity. On it for Carla's class.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I did research on it because that's the biggest thing. I didn't really have many answers from the doctors of what was actually going on, so I just kind of took it in my own account to do the research and see what I can find.
Your own research project on your own body.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I wish it never got to that point, but
you
know, if I wasn't getting the answers from professionals, I had to kind of do it on my own.
Exactly, dude.
But again,
that's
just
cool.
That's the ADHD in me. It was just like, I want to figure out what's going on and look at it like that. Yeah, that kind of changed my way of life, my way of thinking, because I had to figure out what's going on and I had to figure out how it was going to affect me going forward. So I just wanted to get a head start on kind of understanding that, seeing what those future decisions would have looked like.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there was kind of short stuff like that. And yeah, now to this day, like, I'm still taking certain medications for it. I'm still, you know, being cautious of what I'm eating, my protein intake, stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely had a long-term effect.
Okay.
But now, like, I've just kind of grown accustomed to it. I'm not scared anymore.
Nice.
And I think that's the biggest thing because, again, once you kind of switch that mindset off and just be like, this is my body. I'm not going to sit and sulk on all those things.
You can't change it.
Exactly. I can't change it. So, why focus your mental on something that you can't control? Yeah, and that's another thing I kind of live by day to day. And that's, with everything, with personal life, relationships, stuff like that. I'm just more mellow and laid back now, and I don't focus on things that I can't control.
But you're doing like what you can control, the people around you, you know.
Yeah. Because if I focus on the things that I can control as a person, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's going to make all the difference, and it takes away from focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
If you're worried about everything else that, really has, not to say that it has nothing to do with you, but there's no reason to stress over it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to distract themselves with the results of something, or they try to put themselves into other people's lives because they don't want to focus on themselves.
Exactly. They kind of just use it as
it can be a dangerous slope to go down.
They use it as a deterrence, and let the people who are in that specific stuff or like the things that you're worried about, the other people that are involved in it firsthand handle it, and then focus on what you can control and focus on like how it affects you, because once you do that, you deter yourself from the actual answers for it. You're taking away from what you yourself can
the best thing
achieve.
you can do is just focus on personal excellence.
Yeah.
Like if you're good, then nothing else really matters.
Exactly.
Like, then you're yourself with the right people, you can serve better.
Yeah.
Because if you're not good, how are you supposed to help other people?
Exactly. And that was me. I always focused on what other people thought of me. I was always kind of worried, but now getting older and realizing that and kind of accustoming myself to that specific mindset, like I don't do anything that much on a daily basis. I have my own routine. If someone wants to hate me, by all means, go for it. Like, I'm just in my own little world over here. I got my own life to worry about. I don't care. So, it might sound harsh, but honestly, you gotta focus on yourself. You gotta do what makes you happy.
You gotta be
and that's
selfish
the story.
to be selfless.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Absolutely, 100%.
You're gonna hit these.
Where my personal life is, I'm just happy now.
Yeah, that's good.
And sometimes you need to fall to get back up. You need something negative to happen. But it's really up to you to determine how you want to go about it.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, you can sit and dwell on things. Your mental can be a problem, but if you sit and you think about it for longer than 5 minutes or a couple days, everything else is going to fall apart. It's okay to be down. It's okay to think about that and take some time to yourself. But
it's the next play mentality, right?
The longer you delay it and just kind of sit and soak is when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, related to football too, because like when I would mess up on a play, it would like mess up my whole game. Like the same thing in life. Like if I mess up on something, I dwell on it for a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, I need to move on. You know, I need to move on to the next play.
It's just kind of the perfectionist in us. Like, I'm going to deal with a lot of bad people in real estate, and I might make a mistake when doing something with a contract or something.
Yeah.
Or I might give false information. But, ask me that 2 months ago and I probably would have cared.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, it's a part of life. I can't sit here and expect to be perfect every single day, because then I'm lying to myself.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to have flaws. Everyone's going to make mistakes. And I think the more you embrace that, pure and wholehearted of a person you are.
I think we need to surround ourselves with people who see our flaws and want to encourage us to get better.
Exactly.
Instead of like constantly like poking at us and be like,
poking at it, making you feel like shit for it.
Yeah. So like finding people who encourage us, still love us for our flaws.
Yeah.
Because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody changes, but we grow.
Yeah.
We can't change who we are, but we can grow who we are.
Exactly. I mean, you can change as much as you can for, that one person in your life, or just for the job that you're going through. And like you said, no one's ever going to really fully change.
Yeah.
Because then again, you're just trying to become a person that you're not.
Exactly.
Whether it's a positive or negative outcome. But you adapt, you learn, you grow, and you can grow into that person eventually, but apples and oranges, just making that comparison.
Yeah, you can't change an apple to an orange.
Yep.
Not yet anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so going through all of this, going through that adversity, and then now you're out here producing higher outputs, right? Mm-hmm. In fitness, in real estate, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So how did this experience change your perspective on life in general?
I mean, it just kind of told me that life is short, so not being afraid of doing certain things and just kind of taking everything with a grain of salt, but also at the same time, just not being scared to take risks. And, I went to school for exercise science. I was in a job that maintenance and demolition, and now I'm in real estate. So like, I've really kind of tackled a little bit of everything. And I think that's just the beauty of it, honestly. Like, I want to just do as much as I can in the short time that I'm here. And I think for me, like you said, comparison is the thief of, or what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And you could cut that. No, but in all honesty, like, I'm 24 now, and sometimes I catch myself comparing my life to, you know, that of a 50-year-old, thinking I'm behind.
I feel the same way, dude.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I'm not. Like, I'm young enough to do all these things. I have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And I got the people around me that support me. I think that's the biggest thing, too. So surround yourself with the right people. That's all it is. You know, I got a great support system, great family, and you know, everyone's going to go through hard times. People are going to go through breakups. People are going to have falling outs with one another. But in the end, you got to do what's right. So if you're not getting that support system that you feel like you need and that you deserve, you got to make a change.
Right.
And, you know, that's kind of where I was. So I had a lot of stuff just personally going on, too, just aside from all the mental stress from that. And it kind of took a toll on me. So, you know, I wanted to just get out of what I was doing after I graduated, quit my full-time job, and just said, you know what, screw it. I got the time right now. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of living home, not worrying about finances so much, and a year later, this is where I am.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade it for the world, honestly.
Right.
I take a risk, the pros and the cons, and for me, I really thought it was the best decision in that moment.
Exactly.
And, you know, I don't want to sit 5 years from now regretting and kind of looking back like, oh, what would have happened if I didn't make that decision? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I guess we'll never know. Because I went ahead and I did it.
And you learn from it. And that's how we learn in life. We take the risk. We jump in, and then maybe we fall on our face, but like now we know how to overcome that obstacle again.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
we can like help other people overcome
exactly.
it.
Yeah, like just sharing my story is just like, you know, it might not be the standard one, the typical one, but like everyone's got their own story. Everyone's got
that's the beauty of it. Yeah,
everyone's different, and you know, there's only so much that you can give advice on, but your advice might be different because your situation's different.
Yeah.
So honestly, all it comes down to is just hearing it from someone else makes all the difference.
Yeah.
You know, people around you, your family, they might say something, but if you hear it from a stranger or someone not so close to you, it's almost just kind of a sense of relief. It's just like, oh, you know, I needed that.
Yeah.
And you know, that's just kind of what I want to do. That's just the person I am.
Exactly.
You know, I'm always the type of person to give advice, but not take it for myself because I'm too hard on myself.
Right.
It's one thing I really just pride myself in.
So going off of that, like, what advice would you give somebody going through something like similar if they went through like a medical thing that took them away from their sport or took them away from working out? What advice would you give that person?
Just don't give up. I mean, you know, I was down for the count for 9 months, not really sure what was going to happen. And honestly, at the time I was 19, 20.
Yeah, that's young.
No
dude.
20-year-old should be going through shit like that.
No.
In all honesty. So,
no, that's crazy.
You know,
I think it builds maturity because
absolutely.
you're very mature at your age, you're 24. And I feel like young people who go through stuff like that, it puts them through the fire to be who they are, like be more mature than most people your age.
I mean, all it takes is 1 or 2 hardships to really light that fire in you.
Yeah.
Because who knows where I'd be if I didn't go through that stuff. Exactly. My life would be completely different, and I'm not the type of person to regret mistakes in the past or, you know, wish something different happened to me, because without all of that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Exactly.
And so I really take pride in that, and I really look at that of sit and dwell and just be pissed that things happen to you just because it didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. But, you know, you really got to appreciate those things too. You got to appreciate the negatives just as much as the positives.
Exactly.
So that's what I always tell people. Like, stay positive. You're going to get through it one way or the other. And, just don't give up.
I'm starting to develop more of my lower lats when it attaches down there.
That's what I'm really trying to do. Just like focus on getting really, really low.
The big squeeze. I feel like a lot of people have trouble feeling it in their lats.
Yeah.
So like once you start to get that mind muscle connection, then it's a game changer. What do you think the hardest part about real estate is right now?
And that can be a double-ended question.
Yeah.
The hardest part is just, for me at least, it's not gonna be the same as anyone else, but I'm a very introverted person.
Introvert? You know? Yeah, me too, dude.
I don't like talking to people when I don't have to. When I'm in the gym, headphones go on, just stay in my own lane.
Yeah.
But if someone was to come up and talk to me, I'll talk your ear off for like an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like not really great at making those initial like contacts. I think that's the hardest part with real estate too, at least in the beginning, which is kind of getting out of the shell, meeting people, meeting strangers. One of those things where you just have to be involved in it and get used to it.
Yeah.
For yourself to kind of overcome that. So I think
Then
that
you're
was
comfortable with it,
that's the hardest part. But
yeah.
more so now it's dealing with the mental stress.
Okay.
Constantly setting appointments, constantly being on the phone, texting people, writing contracts and offers when they fall through.
Yeah.
I had 4 deals in the past year fall through.
Oh, wow.
And it's a lot of money when you think about, but it's just it plays a huge part on your mental.
Oh, I bet you put so much work into it,
Exactly.
and then it just falls.
And it goes with the fact that we're not getting paid on 2-week basis. We're not getting paid weekly. We're getting paid on the stuff that we do and the deals that we get done. But I can put 30, 40 hours in on one deal and then it fall apart, and then I worked for a week without nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's gonna happen.
It reminds me of hunting, honestly, because it's like go out there, basically like risk some stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And then if you don't see any animals, then you don't get the meat, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But if you do get an animal, it's like the best thing in the world,
Yeah.
So it's like you got to eat what you kill.
Yeah.
It's hard
I mean,
sometimes.
right with real estate, we're hunters. I mean,
Yeah.
we go out, we try to find clients, we build our clientele, our base.
That's reality.
Yeah. And it's just like everything else. You're starting a brand. You're starting a business.
Yes. You're your own business.
Just like you.
Yeah.
It does make it tough. You're always wondering like, oh, how are people gonna for quitting my job? People close to me, and like, am I gonna be made fun of? Like, people are gonna look at me differently.
Because when we first start is the hardest years.
Yeah.
Because you're not making that much money. Like you got to grind all the time. All your other friends are getting like really good jobs.
Yep.
And then they're making all this money already.
Yep.
And then we're still out here like grinding our ass off, not making any money, but we're like planting seeds and we're building. You know?
I will say, I think for me, the number one thing I look at is, when a lot of people get negative on you for quitting a job and starting something on your own, you might not be making enough money right away, but you're also not limiting how much money you can make.
Dude, there's no cap on it.
There's no
That's
cap.
the thing.
That's what I tell people with real estate.
And
it's
if you
like,
love doing it, it's like the money just kind of comes after like you fall in love with the process and you actually make an impact.
There's always going to be something negative for someone to say. Like, they're going to be negative on you for, again, quitting a job and leaving something that's consistent. At the same time, if you stayed in a job like that, you got to work 5 years to get a raise, for a couple extra dollars.
Exactly.
With being your own person and your own brand, your own business, and you're doing everything as a one-man show, there's no cap on what you can make. And that's what I look at. When people tell me that in a negative way, like, oh, you quit your job, like, you don't make a lot. I could also make 100 times more if I put the work in.
You gotta think long term.
Exactly. That's all.
Most
that's
people
all it
think
is.
short term. A lot of people, it's funny because people in business are like, oh, business people are about the money.
Yep.
But honestly, people who are employed, like, they're just there to make money.
Exactly.
They don't have, like, they probably have purpose in what they do. But like somebody who owns a business, like, they're trying to make an impact, trying to like create a movement, and the money doesn't come right away. So saying somebody's in it for the money, it's like, yes, there is potential to make a lot of money. But when you start, you don't make that much, right? So you got to be in it for a long period of time.
The one thing I will say is, I want to put this, you'll never be judged by someone who's
more successful than you.
Who's doing more than you, who's more
yeah.
successful. It's always going to come from someone who's wanting to be in your shoes,
yeah.
but they can't pull themselves to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
That's, yeah.
Reality, dude.
Yeah. Again, that's why I just, like, I don't care if someone says something negative about me. Like, you're doing your own thing, I'm doing mine.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared to take the risk.
Exactly.
If you want to judge me for it, by all means, go ahead.
Something else that I struggle with, and a lot of people struggle with, is like, we care about what other people think of us, right? And I feel like there's a good balance. Not let it weigh you down and try to change who you are to gain others' approval. But it's also important, be yourself. Like we were talking about earlier, like authenticity, right? If you're your authentic self and people don't like you, people aren't gonna like you, right? It's like, but if you are your authentic self, you're gonna attract people that are attracted to your authentic self.
Why change yourself for a couple people that don't like you? Being yourself for everyone else that likes you for who you are.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to impress everybody.
And you're probably not going to hang out with the same people you hang out with in high school.
Yeah, no.
Because you grow and you become different people.
Everyone just goes off and does their own thing. And, you know, when someone's negative or whatever, they say something about you, I'm not going to let 30 seconds ruin the other 24 hours of my day just because of one person. Like, The biggest mindset switch that I've had recently is
Yeah.
harsh, but yeah, you're not going to impress everybody. And like I just said, why change for 1 or 2 people just to get their stamp of approval? And honestly, no one really gives a shit what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Those people usually, like we talked about earlier, they're trying to take the personal accountability out of themselves, put it on somebody else.
Exactly.
You know? And then how did you turn that around to produce higher outputs now
Yeah.
in your life? Because that's the whole point of it, highlighting your story, how you went through something hard and how you overcame it, and now that's that transformation story.
Yeah.
So overall, like, how did this change your perspective, going through this experience, change your perspective on overall life in general?